Well, hello, everyone. This is Jim Ludwig, the founder of MainStreet Financial Planning. And today it's live with MainStreet. Well, it's live with Jim Ludwig. I'm broadcasting live from the Armed Forces Recreation Center in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, Germany. Anna had to take Liam to daycare. Cynthia's on a train, and Liz had her baby a couple of days ago. So that's where the other planners are at. So I'm going to do it live today. Thanks for joining me. We have a few attendees. I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes. And in the meantime, I'll show you the view out the window here in Bavaria. And let's see if I can do that. Okay, I'm going to share it. That's what the view looked like out the window about 15 minutes ago. The temperature is 51 degrees, and we can't see the tops of the mountains. And when we left for Europe a few days ago, I thought they were having a heat wave over here. 51 is a little chilly, but I'm not complaining because I am in Germany, and it was nice. We just were in Nuremberg and started off our trip landing in Munich. So we're on our way to Italy. We'll be in Italy in a couple of days, and then I'll be working from Italy for a couple of months. So hope you don't mind that. Anyway, let's see how many other people have. Well, we haven't added any participants, so let's get going on this month's Live with MainStreet. The topic is debt. Who likes to have debt? Who likes to inherit debt? Well, that's our first question. One of our clients wrote in and said, can you use a qualified disclaimer for debt relief? Well, that's kind of a legal question because qualified disclaimers are a legal document that people that are recipients of a bequest, somebody leaves you something and you don't want to have it, but it's usually a valuable asset. It could be money, it could be property, and everyone has the right to file with the court a qualified disclaimer. They have to use an attorney to do that, and there is no provision in any state that I could find for debt relief. You're either a party to the debt or you're not. And so sometimes debts extinguish at death. And so I wouldn't worry about inheriting a debt unless you're a party to it, or if you're just getting other people's assets. Now, if you're the executor, you might be required to pay off the debt. But someone who's inheriting something, that you don't inherit the debt. Only the executor is responsible for paying off the decedent's debt. Now, I learned that by working for two bank trust departments. So you should seek an attorney for legal advice rather than your financial planner. But in my experience, qualified disclaimers are not involved with getting out of a debt. Second question. Pay debts or fund your emergency reserves? Which should come first? Good question. And I've got my usual 50-50 answer. You should do both. Continue to pay your debts off and raise money for an emergency, because emergencies happen at any time. And you want to be prepared for it. You don't want to be adding to your debt by putting it on the proverbial credit card. So how much emergency reserve should you have? That's a question we get all the time. Usually you have to anticipate what's the worst kind of an emergency. It could be major teeth repairs. Sometimes that can be $10,000. Car transmission, that could be $4,000. Leak in the roof, that's another $4,000. Replacing the roof could be $10,000. You have to assess in your own situation how much that emergency fund would be. But typically, Anna and I, because we worked together for such a long time, we're sort of you need at least $5,000 in the emergency reserves, and you might have $20,000, $50,000 worth of debt. You have to work on both until you can get that target amount in emergency fund, minimum of $5,000, most likely $10,000 would be reasonable for a single person, more if you're married and you have obviously other responsibilities. Speaking of married and single, what happens if you're single and you're laid off and you have a lot of debts that you're paying? Big problem. And no one wants that, but it does happen. What kind of financial advice are we giving? First of all, contact all your creditors and say, I've been laid off. I only have a couple of $1,000s in the emergency fund. I don't want to eliminate it all. Can you give me some forbearance and help me get over this time period? Could you get a family loan? Sometimes that works out. There's a lot of different things that you're going to have to do, but not paying your debts and not contacting your creditors is not the strategy that's going to help you. That's really going to hurt you. And you don't want to have your creditors sending your debts to collection agencies. You're talking about lots of phone calls, lots of mails coming in, asking for money. Contact them right away if you're laid off and try to get some forbearance. And our last question that's come in has been, what is the difference between Snowball and Avalanche? I was talking to Anna earlier, and she said, I always use the term Snowball. Well, in debt relief, an avalanche looks at all of the accounts that you have, and you start working on the highest interest rate first. Get that paid off, and then with your excess cash flow, you attack the next highest interest rate debt till you get them out of the way. And that's the way over time to pay the least amount of money in interest to the creditors. On the other hand, looking for success early on may cause a different approach, and that's the traditional snowball approach. Attack the smallest debt first. It might only take you 2 or 3 or 4 months, and then attack the next largest debt and the next largest debt, and do it by size and not by interest rate, because in that method, you'll have early successes and you'll keep doing it. Getting out of debt is a habit. Saving is a habit. And so we want to encourage people that are in debt to do the snowball approach or the avalanche approach. If you want to pay less money, it's avalanche. If you want to have early successes and keep at it, it's snowballing. So those are our 4 debt questions today. Let's see if any of our attendees have any questions. They can write them down in the chat box, and I'll be glad to answer any debt questions. Is there good debt or bad debt? Probably bad debt are things that you buy on impulse that have variable rates. Credit cards are probably the number one source of bad debt. Good debt could be the home loan or the car loan. Those are about the only good debts. Student loan debt, it could be good, but it could be bad too, because maybe you've taken on more debt than you really needed to, and maybe you should have worked a semester or 2 in between going back to school to reduce the amount of debt that you ultimately have for student loans. Okay? So I don't see any other questions coming in. I want to thank you for tuning in today for Live with MainStreet with Jim Ludwig, the founder of MainStreet Financial Planning. I'm sorry that Anna and Cynthia and Liz couldn't make it today. On the other hand, I'm in charge, and I hope you appreciated the view I've got now. And here in Germany, it's a little after 7 p.m., And for those of you that might be Pittsburgh Steelers fans, if you're assigned here in Germany in the military, you have to watch the Steeler-Patriot game at 2 a.m. Monday morning, and then you have to go to work. Well, it's not all roses over here in Germany. Anyway, thank you everybody for checking in with Live with MainStreet. I hope the answers to those questions are helpful, and hope you have a great day. Bye now.